Howdy, boys and girls, and welcome back to the college football season. It is week 3 of football. Therefore, it is week 3 of the Carla and Crappy Show. And this week, I remembered to actually say what the show's name was right off the bat. I think that's a pretty good thing. I think that's doing well, right, Carla?
That's a win. Yes, that we'll take whatever wins we can get in week 3. Although it is worth saying we both did much better last week.
With the exception of my exuberance over my alma mater playing here in Pittsburgh. Yeah, we actually did. But that's I will. There's a mea culpa here in my notes about that at some point, and we'll get to that somewhere. Yep. You're drinking. What are you drinking? What is that?
It's wine.
Okay.
But because we're in the process of packing, like the movers come in about 48 hours from after we're recording this. Okay. So I'm down to like a random pink wine glass that I picked up at some random marketing conference.
Okay.
So I'm drinking wine out of a pink wine glass.
Copper? Is that copper thing? Ish or no?
Aluminum, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. It's real thin.
I mean, you really need a handle for a good like Moscow Mule mug because they get really cold.
Yep.
So that might not be the best idea for that.
Yeah.
But it is for those guys who are listening, it is a coppery looking vessel, but no handle whatsoever.
No handle, no, because the mule mugs are also packed.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as you have them, that's the important thing. Especially, yes. God, if you have to live through the heat in Nashville.
It was 99 degrees today. I don't want to hear anything about fall.
No, it was 90 degrees here. I mean, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
It was so nice this weekend. It was cool and comfortable, and we had the windows open, and now I have to deal with this crap again.
Yeah.
And it bothers me.
99 today. It's going to be in the mid-90s the rest of the week. We get a reprieve into the low 90s by the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. There's it's like the yeah, I know. The 7-day forecast is all 90s.
Did you leave some hoodies out of your sweatshirts, or out of your suitcases, just in case while you're moving?
That was actually the first thing I packed because after looking at the 7-day forecast, I was like, okay, hoodies, sweaters, go.
I don't need these. Do you have a TV ready for at some point this weekend, one place or the other?
We have it. We have an antenna. I posted. I didn't post that picture on Twitter, but I did post it on Instagram that we set up a makeshift living room last week because we had a little tiny TV that has an antenna on it, which gets me, the major network, which last week was all we really needed.
True.
So we were good in that regard.
Put up a picture of that on the show page. I want to see what this looks like.
Okay, I will do that. It was two folding lawn chairs with a little tiny TV on a TV table.
So not as good as like streaming while you're sitting in your car, but that's still pretty close.
Pretty darn close, yeah. It was a great place to take a break though. When I was tired of lining shelves.
Nice. Okay. Well, look. So you did get to see some football last weekend. Do you have a thing? What is your one thing from last weekend?
Army, UGG, again. Second year.
Go Army.
Yeah, I know. Go Army, but they didn't finish the deal.
I know.
I mean, I'm a go Navy beat Army girl every day of the week, and I was pulling real hard for Army in that game. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the end of that game. I actually listened to it in the car. That's the one good thing about having a satellite radio subscription.
Yes.
Because I was driving back and forth, I was flipping through radio stations, listening to games. So I did more listening to games than watching games this weekend.
Sure.
But man, that's the second year in a row because Army took Oklahoma to the brink last year, and
another overtime game.
Right. Yeah. And they lost by almost the same score. And so gosh, I wish Army would have really finished that off, but that was a heck of a game. LSU Texas was a great game, closer than I expected that to be, but LSU was the dominant team there, and we all missed the best game of the night, which was Cal Washington,
right,
where the lights all went out in the stadium and the game finished at like 4:30 in the morning Eastern time on a last second field goal, and Cal getting the upset. Like it just was such an appropriate end to the weekend. Like it really.
I forgot to ask AJ if he actually stayed up to watch that one. I don't know if he did or not, but
Well,
that'd be a stretch even for him.
Yeah. Well, Lauren Kirschman, former was she a colleague with you?
Yes, she was.
You're okay.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she's out in Seattle now, and she was covering that game. And so I was.
God, I didn't think about that. Oh,
yeah. So I was all the retweets I was posting on Twitter were all from her stuck in the press box.
Right.
As this thing was going down. So Lauren, I don't know if you're a fan of this or not, but we love you. Congratulations for.
I will at Lauren when we post stuff about this. Cheers, lady. Cheers. That's. I did not think about the fact that Lauren would be stuck covering that until like the next day. Yeah. But wow. What a spectacular game.
Yeah. How about you?
I have three very quick things about one thing, and as we're getting into the season now, so my vision becomes a little more myopic with each passing week, and of course, no surprise to anybody, the focus, my concentration is the Big Ten. So, not at all, not because I am an Army guy, and not at all to denigrate the effort of the Black Knights in Ann Arbor, but number one, what the hell's wrong with Michigan?
Right.
I mean, there's lots of stuff we can talk about, and I promise these will be quick, but yikes, that's not good. Number two, what in the hell's gotten into Maryland? Yeah. They're the 21st ranked team in the country. They score 71 points a game. They're averaging 335 rushing yards per game. Passing yardage is just sort of behind that. It is insane, and I'm suddenly annoyed that there's this extra game in November that I'm going to have to be concerned about because, yikes, that's frightening.
Well, and that's a team that it's hard not to root for Maryland after all that it's been through in the off season.
Ask me in November. Ask me in November. Hard to.
So we've got to. My Nets have to play them eventually. So I'm in the same boat here. But for now, the first couple weeks of the season, that's actually been one of the better stories coming out of the Big Ten right now.
Absolutely. The turnaround is stunning. And yes, here's the standard caveat. It's the early season, and these are games against teams that might not be as competitive. But I mean, but Syracuse was a top 25 team.
Yep.
And Maryland absolutely rolled them. So,
yep. Not close.
Yikes! I am. That is one to watch for later in the year. Number three, while shutting out Cincinnati was a cool thing, especially given Ohio State's defensive troubles they had last season. The bigger thing is scoring 42 points on a defense that held Chip Kelly's UCLA offense to 62 yards rushing and 156 yards passing in the season opener. I'm pleased. I just have to make this quick note as an Ohio State fan because that's what I do. I'm pleased with how things are going on both sides of the ball. I'm pleased with how Justin Fields has acclimated himself. I was expecting UC to be a test, and that because it is a legit solid defense, and scoring 42 on them was nice.
Impressive. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I was the one that picked Cincinnati to cover, so I was way wrong on that one.
It's true. I did not disagree with your pick. I thought that was a good possibility. But so 42-0 was a very nice thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we have not a ton, maybe not any, as I look at this list of top 25 on top 25 violence this weekend. But we do have there are a bunch of just sort of interesting games. And so what we're going to do, we're going to go through six. We're going to do a speed round. Carla liked this idea because she claimed when we were talking about it earlier this week that she wouldn't have to do any notes. I know that's crap because I know we've been doing this show for a long time. And I know Carla's going to do notes. So she has a few notes. I have a few notes. And we're going to go through these six games as quickly as possible. One additional thing, at the end, the last game that I saved on this list, we're going to introduce a new weekly feature. We hinted at this in the season opener, and we'll explain what it's about when we get there. It's the sixth game of the 6 games that we're going to talk about. But I think we're both prepared to make our first predictions based on this brand new college football index that I'm sure will soon become the talk of the nation. But to start with, we're going to visit a rare thing for us, a Friday night game at 9:15 Friday. Number 20, Washington at Houston. Wazoo is favored by 9. And for this game and this game only, I looked up the over-under, and it is 75 points. It's actually a little conservative than what I was expecting. Carla, go.
Well, okay, so I was the one that requested that we talk about this game because we talked about this game at the end of last season.
Right.
This is Washington State and Mike Leach going up against Dana Holgorsen and the University of Houston on Friday the 13th with a full moon. I mean, does it get any better than that?
I didn't know that was a full moon. Holy shit.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's a full moon, Friday the 13th, and we're moving that day, of course, but this is no jinx there. Yeah. But this is one of those things that I really hope our cable provider actually shows up on Friday like they're supposed to, because I have to get something connected to internet so I can watch this game, because this game is one of those ones that this is going to get stupid silly just because of the two coaches, the two personalities, and regardless of, I don't care who wins this game. These two coaches on this scenario on a Friday night, Friday the 13th with a full moon, I mean, this is must-see TV in my book. The one note I have about this game, Wazoo offense has been putting up over 600 yards per game. That's absolutely absurd. Yes. Houston's been giving up 500 yards per game, which is also absolutely absurd. Yes. Wazoo's going to win this game. Yes. Take the over.
I think that's a good bet. My notes, I'm going to read this verbatim. Houston, gaining 400 yards per game. Very good. Wazoo, gaining 600 yards per game. Better. Put Wazoo's offense up against Houston's defense, which has surrendered 500 yards per game in the first 2 games of the season. The Pacific Northwest Cougars may score 100 on the Texas Cougars. Tune in at 9:15 Friday night to find out.
Oh, I didn't even realize that this was Coug-on-Coug action. That's even
hot Coug-on-Coug action. And we just earned an explicit tag on iTunes for this week.
Thank you, Mike Leach.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. We have a couple noon games on Saturday, starting in Bloomington, Indiana. Number 6, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State is favored by 16. Carla?
Weird things happen in Bloomington. I don't have to tell you that. And that's the reason this game is that we're talking about this game to begin with, because of this affinity that for whatever reason, Indiana tends to have Ohio State's number. This is just a thing that happens.
It's so annoying.
Almost as annoying as Badgers, but not quite as annoying as Badgers.
It's close. Very close. Yeah.
So Indiana's offense is very pass heavy. That's going to put the Ohio State secondary to the test here. The one thing that I do like about Ohio State, Ohio State's going to win this game. Ohio State is much more balanced on offense, and I think that's going to be the key to success here. Is the fact that they've got a nice balance between run and pass. I think eventually they're going to wear down Indiana's defensive line. So I like the Buckeyes here, but weird things could happen in the first half.
Okay. As I said, Ohio State's favored by 16. You guys have heard me say this before. This is not, Indiana shouldn't be in these games against Ohio State. Should not happen. And yet they always are. They give Ohio State fits, especially when we're in Bloomington. Pardon me. As previously mentioned, I like what Ohio State's defense has done. So far this season. So I'm hoping for an easy afternoon. I know better than that's going to happen, especially with this opponent. I will say this: Ohio State wins. I think Indiana covers. I think 16 in this setting is probably a bit much. So we will see how that goes. But that's where I would go if I'm a betting man. That's what I would do. Also at noon Saturday in Carla's Happy Valley, Pitt. Woo! At number 13, Penn State. Penn State is favored by 17. What you
got? Penn State should run away with this game. Here's the one big thing that I have to plead with my Nittany Lions, because Sean Clifford has done really, really well. The offense is putting up 62 points per game first two against cupcake opponents. Well, the Buffalo's not a cupcake. But still, I mean, against lesser opponents, this is the first time that that Penn State's going to play a Power 5 conference opponent. Last season, Penn State had the same problem, getting off to a slow start. They've done it already in their first two games. This is a bit concerning. And when you're going up against an opponent like Pitt in a rivalry game, and the last time this game is going to be played for quite some time, we don't know when this rivalry will be picked up. Falling behind in the first half is going to give Pitt life, and they're going to believe that they have a chance in this game. This is a game that Penn State cannot afford to get out to a slow start. They've got to fix that, but especially before heading into conference play. Penn State will win this game. They'll pull away in the second half like they did against Buffalo last week, but I expect the first half to be a nail biter.
That's my Penn State fans who are here at home, and they were thinking more, I think, of 2 years ago, because man, every game would come from behind in the second half.
Yep.
And it's like, oh please, let's can we not do this again this year? So I mean, here's my mea culpa with my alma mater. My Bobcats brought a really shaky pass defense. We talked about this a little bit into the Mustard Bowl last weekend. Pitt's passing attack looked as good against them as it had in a long time. Pickett was well over 300 yards passing. Penn State, however, is giving up under 100 yards passing and rushing per game. That bodes well. If the Nittany Lions avoid a slow start, and not, Pitt can score first, that's fine. But if Penn State's down 21-7 at halftime or something dumb like that, then you got to worry. But if that is not the case, Pitt's going to be outclassed here, and Penn State will win this game. We continue to 4 p.m. on Saturday. That gives you about a half-hour break if you need to go to the bathroom or something.
Make more popcorn.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Number 19, Iowa at Iowa State. Iowa is favored on the road by 2.5 points. I think that's the tightest point spread we've seen so far this season, the games that we've talked about. Carla, what do you think about the Corn Bowl?
Speaking of wacky places to play,
hello, welcome
to Ames, Iowa. The only thing that would make this game wackier is if it was a night game, because wacky things happen in Ames, Iowa after dark. And Iowa State is a team this year that we don't know anything about, really. I mean, they played Northern Iowa in the first week of the season, had second week off as a bye. They needed triple overtime to beat Northern Iowa, but this is a Northern Iowa team that's done this before their in-state, larger big brother.
They're the Indiana of the state of Iowa.
Yeah, they're the directional Michigan that likes to meddle in the Power 5 powerhouse teams. So I'm not going to take that much against them because of that, but Iowa's offense suddenly is a thing. And we tend to think of Iowa as a defensive team. I mean, that's when you think Iowa, you think defense, you think ground and pound. And this is an Iowa team that put up 34 points in its first two games. Defense is still just as solid, allowed under 200 yards per game. I think this game is a pick-em in my brain. On paper, it looks like Iowa should win this game, and I would tend to go towards my Big Ten allegiances here and say Hawkeyes win. I'm a little concerned about that pick, though, because the game is in Ames, and wacky things happen in Ames, Iowa. That it would not surprise me at all to have Iowa State need triple overtime to beat little brother Northern Iowa, and then turn around and beat the Hawkeyes. Like, that would not stun me. That's not out of possibilities. But I'm going to go ahead and say Hawkeyes.
No, you didn't even pick that one till right now. You didn't even pick that one till right now, did you?
I didn't. No, okay. I write down the games and I circle who I pick. I did not circle anybody on this game.
Here's what I'm saying. These teams, if you're looking at the stats, these teams are pretty much mirror images of themselves. With Iowa's got a better number in terms of defending the pass. That's about it. So you got a rivalry game. Evenly-ish matched teams. We're in Ames. And I did have this written down. Cyclones will score an upset in this game. That's what I see happening. At 7:30 Saturday, Florida State. That would be unranked Florida State. At number 24, Virginia. UVA is finished by 7.5. What do you think?
Florida State, head scratcher. I mean, really, like, you look at this game. Florida State is in trouble.
Yes,
they are in serious trouble heading into this game and heading up to Charlottesville. Their defense is absolutely abysmal.
Yes.
I mean, they're giving up 520 yards per game. And this is an offense that's doing okay, but they can't stop anybody. And we found this out over the last 2 weeks, needing a last-second win or last-second score in overtime, actually, to beat Louisiana Monroe. Mm-hmm. And then to give up all those yards and points in the second half to Boise. Now, true, that game was a little bit messed up to begin with because that game was supposed to be in Jacksonville, got moved because of the hurricane and all that. So there was some other stuff around that. But to get beat by Boise at home is not the way you want to start your season. And you got to wonder if Willie Taggart's coaching for his job in this game. I mean, because if you look at their schedule, if they drop this game at Virginia and you look at the way it shakes out, they can really only afford to lose maybe one more game to stay bowl eligible. Like, I mean, we're really looking at that for this early in the season for Florida State, and this is not a place that they expected to be in. This is a good Virginia defense. They've played really, and the best defense that Florida State has played all year. Virginia makes a statement and wins this game, and then I think we're scratching heads down in Tallahassee trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where are you, Bobby Bowden? Question. The question is there a bigger mess in major college football right now than Florida State? And the answer?
Yes. Tennessee.
Well, okay. So Florida State would be number 2. Florida State would be number 2 on that poll. And just simply UVA wins this game, covers at 7.5, and I think without too much trouble.
I think so too.
That's going to be an ugly thing. Now, also at 7:30 on Saturday, number 1 Clemson visits the Syracuse Orangemen. Clemson is favored by 27.5 points. Regular viewers of the Carla and Crappy Show, listeners, are familiar with the term we call Clemsoning. This is defined by the propensity of the Dabo Swinney-led Clemson Tigers to suffer an inexplicable lack of focus, and therefore an inexplicable lack of effort and occasional loss to a much lesser opponent. 3 years ago, it was Pitt. Yep. 2 years ago, it was this game. It was Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. Mm-hmm. Last year, it was nearly Syracuse. But in Death Valley, at home for Clemson. So what we're going to do, and we talked about this in the outset of the season, Clemson's schedule is front loaded, including this game. And Syracuse might actually be good, but they were embarrassed by Maryland last weekend. But pretty much after this game, there is not a whole lot left to really occupy the attention of the Clemson Tigers, and it strikes me that Dabo has perhaps his biggest coaching challenge of the season. You assume that one ACC team will sort of jump up and have a better than expected season and maybe challenge them later on, but just looking at it right now, it's like they coached for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So every single week from this point forward, Carla and I will engage in the we're going to call it the Clemsoning Index, 1 to 10 scale. 1 being the least possibility of a Clemsoning, 10 being the most likely Clemsoningist.
That works.
Does that sound like is that okay?
Yeah, that's a word now. That's good.
And we're going to rank, even if we don't talk about Clemson's games in depth at all, we're going to rank what is the possibility, what is the Clemsoningist What is the Clemsoning? I'm having fun with this word. This is
it's like rivalry week all over again.
Oh God, don't even start me with it. So 1 to 10 scale, and Carla, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to let you take the first crack at the Clemsoning Index. I think we need a logo for this. But what do you think? What do you think for Clemson at Syracuse?
I hope it becomes just as popular as the Stanford postulate. Like we've got the Stanford, we got the Stanford postulate, and now we've got the Clemsoning Index. So I'm going 6.5.
Okay.
On this one, it would have been a 7 or a 7.5 because of how like Indiana has Ohio State's number. Syracuse, for whatever reason, just has Clemson's number. This is just a team that consistently is a thorn in Clemson's side. And prior to the game against Maryland, I would have probably put this at a 7 or maybe even an 8.
Yeah.
And then watching them against Maryland, and the Syracuse defense has allowed over 440 yards in the first 2 games. That might be too much to overcome. So I'm going to go 6.5 on this one.
Okay. I would had Syracuse not been thumped, and as you mentioned last weekend, it's still possible that Syracuse is a decent team. And certainly they have been the most consistent ACC opponent to challenge Clemson at this point. Plus they're at home. But I just feel like, and we talked about this, Clemson, they were the dominant team a year ago. They have had a year to improve. They have more experience. You're in the weight room, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And I think I assume Dabo would let them know that this is the team. This is the game that upset you 2 years ago. This is the team that nearly upset you at home last year. I would assume that this game has Dabo's attention, and therefore it has Clemson's attention. I'm going to put the Clemsoning Index for this game at 4.
Okay.
And confidently say that the Clemson Tigers will win Saturday night in upstate New York, in Western New York, Western New York.
Yep.
Guys, you can find the Carla and Crappy Show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and now Spotify, as well as on a variety of other podcasting services. You can also watch us babble on YouTube and our Facebook page. If you dig the show, please rate and review. If you don't, mind your own damn business. And as always, come back next week to find out exactly how wrong we were, as I was about my alma mater last week. Carla, do you have any thoughts about taping your last Carla and Crappy Show in the OG studio?
Yeah, we've done 5 years of shows in this studio. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's been a couple layouts, a couple different colors I painted halfway through. So it's very echoey right now. Literally, there's nothing left in it other than my desk where I'm sitting, the lamp, and the lamps that I need for lighting. And literally, as soon as we finish recording here, both those lamps are coming down and going into my car so I can take them over.
We were talking before, and I had a flashback to Steve Martin, the jerk. He's like, all I need is this lamp, and this paddleboard game, and this ashtray, and that's all that Carla has left in her house.
Yeah, pretty much. No, we still have a lot of stuff in the house. That's the problem. We're still frantically packing at this point. But yeah, no, it's been a good place. It's been a good studio. But I am super excited about the new studio. I've got kind of the layout kind of blocked off, and bookshelves, and where the desk is gonna go, and there's a window, so I'm not in like a little closet, because literally this is the size of a walk-in closet. I'm sure you can probably tell every week. But I have an actual bedroom.
It does. It looks like a full room. It looks bigger than that.
Yeah, it's not. Like I can literally touch both walls as I'm sitting here.
I honestly had no idea.
Yeah, it's a little tiny. It was okay. When we moved in here, we were like, "What's this room for?" Like, it's not a closet.
It's for podcasting.
Apparently, yeah, and it's worked out great. So yeah, it's a little sad to see it go, but we are super excited about the house and having more space. And yeah, it's gonna be. I'm actually gonna have things back up on the walls again, and nice. And carpet on the floor, which will help this whole echoing thing.
Nice.
Which I'm very excited about. So yeah, it'll be good.
This will be very cool. I'm excited to see it. I am excited for $1.06 of this weekend's games and everything else that's going on.
Can I throw one game in that I wished I could go to if I wasn't moving? Middle.
Yes.
Hosts Duke at Floyd Stadium.
You gotta be for Middle in that game.
Just Duke's only a 6.5 point favorite. Oh. Middle wins at home. Middle wins at home. I am going out on a limb and saying Middle wins at home and beats Duke.
Okay. Spoken like someone who's just about to move to the southeast side of Nashville.
Of Nashville, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm totally with you. Apologies to our former editor Kim DeBoo. But yeah, I'm totally on Middle side for that one. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this week's show. We hope you enjoy this weekend's games. We hope next week you enjoy Carla's new studio. If you get a chance to take a look. Carla, cheers.
Cheers.
Good luck with the rest of the move.
Yeah, thanks. We might need it. Take lots of notes from me this week because I don't know how much football I'm going to see. We'll try.
We can do a speed round next week too.
Okay.
And we'll see if you can actually do a show with no notes.
Yeah, maybe. We'll try.
Maybe. We'll see. Guys, thank you for watching and listening. We will talk to you next week.